Well, hello, my friends. I hope you're having a wonderful day and welcome to another episode of Listen to the Vibes. Yesterday, I sat down with two wonderful people. Carlana Stone, she is a talent professional. She's worked in Hollywood. She lives here in Austin right now. And we also talked with Coleman Ryan. Now, Coleman Ryan is special because number one, he used to be in gangs, he was incarcerated, but he got out, he changed his life around, and now he helps others to get away from that lifestyle and helps them with things such as addiction. And we had a very good conversation. It felt as if we weren't even recording, and since it wasn't a conventional type of interview and more of a conversation, it was special. So I left it that way. Now I did have to edit out quite a bit. We had almost a 3 hour conversation. I did leave in a little bit of our goofiness, but I left in a lot of serious, important things that I think would be beneficial to you. I hope that you enjoy this and you appreciate it for how real it really was. So, here we go with the show.
Exactly who you're
Shit,
talking about.
why haven't I thought about that as a
Wow.
an entry point for us? Be you know what? Because yeah, we've all got scars or not scars. Well, I mean, okay. The reason I said scars is because I repurposed my scar on my back, which used to be like a source of shame and what set me apart from, and I was broken and all that kind of stuff, and I got a tattoo artist who worked with me in Los Angeles, and we designed together. I told him what was in my heart and my vision, all this kind of stuff, and he put it on my back, and I didn't see it until he tattooed it on my back, but he used my scar as a so now it's a piece of art, and I've embraced it as such. And we were talking about, um, just to bring you in the loop, but it's so funny because Kyle and I have talked about it too. Um, Ryan or Coleman,
Excuse
I
me.
don't know. I'm sorry, the name just messes me up because
It's all good.
yeah,
What
um,
what 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 is your full name?
brother.
My name is Robert Coleman Ryan, but I go by Coleman.
All right, Coleman Ryan, is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. That's perfect.
All right, I'm gonna write it up here so I don't forget it.
All right.
Yeah, it's
Ta-da!
ta-dum.
Ugh.
um, no, but what I was saying something. I don't know. I got off track, but you're talking about Dirk Vermin. No. Where I was going to go with that is just that our tattoos, because that's something all of us share in common. Right? I mean, Kyle, you have tattoos, don't you?
um, yeah,
Yeah.
about 60% of my body.
Yeah.
Right,
I was
right,
like,
right.
I
Okay.
can see
I
quite a
just
few. Just
making sure that I was like not completely losing my mind.
Mm,
Because
mm.
I'm certifiable, or should be. Um, but but not segregated from society. And in fact, on the contrary, integrated into society. And that's, no, but where we all really come together is the fact that, um, there, it's the stories that come from like our tattoos and which are so personal, but most people stop at, oh, the tattoo, oh, he or she's got a tattoo, and it's like, for a lot of people, hardwired in the resistance thing, and an immediate stigma, if you will. Oh, they got a tattoo, and it's like, and then if you got more than one or whatever, I of course, being the woman in denial, mine's on my back so I can cover it up at any given time. but I love to sport it because it's truly my story, and I'm actually proud of,
Yeah, you
to
should be.
tell the story. But when we look at
Oh, excuse
I don't
me.
know. I was going somewhere with that. But about the tattoo aspect being an entry point in the storytelling thing, because you know what, you don't have to, like, going in blindly where you don't know the person or anything about them. All you know is this one tattoo that could be an image of, a tight shot of that tattoo, but then throughout the 8-minute piece or 2-minute piece, you're going to pull back and get broad broader perspective of that tattoo, and it comes together with, I'm really drawing this because it's like, our tattoos or whatever can be that kind of roadway, and that kind of connection, but it also is an avenue for production and putting it in front of some people who so Kyle, you know what I mean? Like what, like um, it's a step above the gaming aspect television out there, like what's his name, Dave Navarro. Um,
I've been binge watching that show the last few days too, by the way.
yeah, okay, take it a level higher. Have you seen that show,
What
Coleman?
show? What show?
What's the name of it? It's Dave Navarro's the
Yeah,
host.
it's
Not too.
oh my
Ink, ink,
gosh.
ink, ink, ink,
Ink Masters.
ink
Oh,
master, ink
yes, yes,
master.
yes, 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 yes,
It's a really
yes.
well done show.
Very good
And,
show.
and and one of the things they do really well is they integrate story, and they're actually aching for, like, but I don't even think it's giving them an episode or whatever, special. I say, like, using that avenue to kind of connect with some of the ghost hunter stuff, the things I don't know, the things that connect us that we can't see, and actually going to kind of like where you, Kyle, are going with your two different podcasts. You've got one that lives in that world of, ghost hunter and everything, da, 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 and then you got this thing, like, like this cool vibes. Both of those things are, you have to be dialed into the frequency to experience them. And, it's the stuff you can't see. And I just don't think, I think there's a pocket here that we can feed with content. So I'm just saying, does that resonate at all?
Oh yeah. You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
I did a past life regression the other day, which was very interesting to say the least. Have you ever heard of that?
And no, I was
No,
gonna say, please
I've
enlighten me as
heard
to
of it.
what that is.
What?
So
Yeah.
what happens is somebody actually kind of hypnotizes you, puts you in a trance, and you're
Okay.
able to go back and relive past lives. And
Okay.
you know, I've always been skeptical of these kind of things, and even if there's some kind of a hypnotic suggestion or something that goes along with it, irregardless if this is real or not, the experience seemed real, and it was very eye opening, and it gave me a renewed sense of purpose. Um, it gave me a new energy, a new focus. I was able to get excited again. Let's put that way. Since I've had my surgery, I had spinal surgery about 2 months ago,
Okay.
and I was kind of putting this on the back burner for a while because I tried to do some shows to try to sit up at the desk and to do the work, do the editing, all that stuff. I couldn't sit here for 10
Oh,
minutes.
you love to edit. That's right.
Uh,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
but the pain was just so great I couldn't do it, and so I think that the network was suffering because of it. Um, so as soon as I was able to, and we just moved, and by the way, we moved to Kyle, Texas, yada yada
Down south. Okay. Okay.
yada.
That's cool.
um,
Hey, man.
I got my own office now they built an office actually two offices on the side of the garage. And so I've got one, my wife's got one, got everything set up in here. And all of a sudden things start happening. I got that phone call from Dirk, got that email from Billy. Um, I'm waiting to hear back from Oliver Peck, by the way. I got his emailed him, trying to get him on the show. And I'm going to try to make a trip
And
to Dallas because that's
what
where
was
his
that Oliver
tattoos.
Peck? Do what?
Oliver Peck was the guy with the long ponytail on Ink Masters.
Right. No, no,
The
no,
one
no.
always
Right,
had the
right.
toothpick.
No, but tell me what
Oh,
you did. I
okay.
know
Yes.
exactly who he
Yes.
is.
Yes. Yes.
And so I found his
Yes.
email.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
I
What are
found
you
his
doing with
email, and
him?
I'm going to try to interview him too. I haven't heard back from him yet, but I did find his email. I sent it to him, and just waiting to hear back. I mean, it took Dirk 2 or 3 days before I heard back from him. So I've got some optimism there. Um, I got to interview Rudy Sarzo the other day. And if you're not familiar with Rudy, he was the bass player for Quiet Riot, Ozzy Osbourne, and White
Okay.
Snake.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Yes. Listen to all of them.
Who's that again?
Rudy Sarzo,
Yeah.
That is so
Uh,
cool.
he is such an awesome guy too. He's
Rudy Sarzo.
he's originally from Cuba. His family moved here during the '60s, and he emphasized a lot how his family came here, and they went through the process. Paid all the money they had
he
to
was an
pay, and
immigrant. Was he an
yes,
immigrant?
yes, and he is
What
now
do
a
you think
citizen.
about that?
I love it. His family, they sacrificed a lot to become citizens here. And,
Absolutely.
he also talked about how they left that communist society to come here where they have freedoms. And it was just amazing listening to this guy talk. Was very inspirational, which was perfect for the show.
Nice. That really does
Wow.
sound amazing, and I love um, talking to people. That's my favorite part of my job, is talking to people and really getting to hear their story and what makes them who they are. Right, like
Yes.
that. When you're able to have that conversation with somebody, you're able to see where you relate, right, and what you guys have in common. And I think that's so important in dealing with trauma, like she's talking about, and with everything, is just having those heart-to-heart conversations and being able to be compassionate and understanding. Right, it's very easy
Mm-hmm.
to push people away and shut
Yep.
off. It's very hard to take on other people's emotions and problems and actually try and put yourself in their shoes and
So
be understanding.
Yeah.
when you watch an interview, 99% of the time you hear the same questions on each interview. And it's
Mm-hmm.
always like, if somebody was interviewing Rudy Sarzo, you would hear the questions about, hey, um, what was it like playing with Randy Rhoads? What was it like when Randy Rhoads passed away? What is it like
Mm-hmm.
playing with Quiet Riot? What's it like playing with Ozzy? These kind of
Mm-hmm.
questions,
Yeah.
which, I mean, that's fine, but it's, to me, that's boring. I've heard
It's
it before.
surface level. It's
Yeah.
surface level.
So
Right.
when you get into, hey, tell me a little bit about your childhood. Well, I grew up in Cuba. We moved here, in the '60s, and then we got it. I asked him. I said, "What was it like for your parents to go from that kind of government to being here in the United States, where you have freedoms and got more on a personal level?" I think that that to me is so much more
You
interesting, and it
offer
brings so
an
much more.
avenue.
Absolutely.
You,
Absolutely.
you come with an invitation to step into a lens, the lens of perspective, if you will. You know what I mean? And an invitation to reflect. And it's amazing what happens in the individual who does that with the advantage of time and life experience. And so to be it, but I think we're so hardwired to not go back there, to it- I don't know, to I just think it's a cool surprised discovery for the user, because they're the person who's engaging here.
Well, this was all supposed to be an inspirational, motivational type show. And when you draw that kind of stuff out from people, then somebody that can relate, that's listening or watching, they're like, if he could do it, maybe I can do it as well.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
Hmm.
yeah.
Absolutely.
But the
Absolutely.
Rudy Sarze thing, that's what I was going to say something. These blues musicians, right? And actually,
Mhm.
I was telling, I was trying to come up with this thing that I heard on the radio or something recently about, um, blues. They start, man. They were interviewing this dude, and he's like, "Oh yeah, blues
Mhm.
begins," and you're like swimming in it, kind of thing, as opposed to the other narrative that has, kind of
Well,
mandates our norm. Do you follow?
when you talk to these folks, then people are already going to know, oh, this person's a musician or this person's an actor. You already know that. And that's great. If you want to talk about it, we'll talk a little bit about it, but how did you get there?
Hmm.
Right,
What
right.
Exactly.
Always,
Exactly.
it always involves them going into the deep, dark depths of hell,
Mhm.
and I don't know. That's been my experience in connecting with that blues from the back roads thing.
Mhm.
Anyway, yeah.
Well, when you draw something out of somebody that they love talking about and you get that enthusiasm in their voice, that makes some such a better interview. When I
Well,
talked to Joey
you
Kent,
touched them.
yeah,
You've reached them.
yeah,
And it goes back to that thing we talked about. The people will forget what you say, they'll forget what you do, but they'll never forget the way you make them feel.
hmm,
And you have a real gift of making people feel,
thank you.
slipping into that comfort zone where you open up and you just kind of,
Well, like what I interviewed Joey Kent. I mean, his eyes lit up when he started talking about, the radio station and his dad and the music and all that. And hey, go with it,
wait,
man.
yeah, yeah. I want to bring Coleman into this because Joey is a friend of mine from Shreveport whose
Okay.
dad knew my daddy. Okay,
Okay.
his daddy was the host of KWKH Almanac Time and hosted all these guys from the Louisiana Hayride, which was a
Hmm.
stage back in the 50s and 60s that united blacks and whites. Uh,
Okay.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, and
Awesome. Awesome.
well, but also it was a band of misfits. They had this guy with the gyrating pelvis and the man in black and the dude with the oversized uh, suits and everything, Hank Williams. So it's like Elvis, Johnny Presley, Charlie Pride. All these people who were like rejects because they weren't fit for the Grand Ole Opry.
Hmm.
There was this stage given to these um and it was like kind of like celebrating the underdog or whatever you want to call it, or kind of the independent artist. So I guess it was probably the birth of some of the independent artist kind of movements, but it was also equated with social change because you're talking about people coming together, and that just seems to be such a music is such a great
It,
equalizer.
it's a bond. It brings
It's
folks together.
it speaks to everybody. Exactly.
I love watching those documentaries where you got groups back in the 50s and 60s where they would have a rope down the middle of the auditorium, and you'd have whites on one side and blacks on the other, and the next thing you know, the rope is down and everybody's dancing together.
Hmm.
Well, we need to get back to that.
That's a great
Absolutely.
picture.
Absolutely.
It seems
Well,
like the
have
media.
you looked at any of Joey's? Okay, just so you know,
Hmm.
Joey owns all these assets. Joey is a walking encyclopedia, and I
Yes,
know
he
you're
is.
going to say, "Oh my God." He is such a knowledge seeker, and he already has it. I mean, it's in his blood. But he has such a passion for you know really digging up the roots. Let's look and where these are our roots, and
Hmm.
oh my God, and that is such we don't have any kind of paradigm in place that really takes a hands-on approach, kind of like or feeds this kind of um excitement in kids to like want to know their roots and know where they're from, because it's actually pretty, I don't know, but Shreveport, when you look at civil rights and you look at music and you look at, you know, what it was then and what it is now, and um it's all just it's it's been, there have been band-aids put on the
Bullet
problem.
holes.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
fixes, patches, just fixing the problem. Kind of patching it up and moving on. Never getting to the root and going, hey, what's, and it's just, I don't know. I'm excited because there's a lot of stuff in play right now where I get to go back to my roots, and with the gift of perspective, 30 years plus perspective, and so I'm back in them. Austin is so alive with this stuff. And um, I'm just excited. I don't know. I'm sorry. I went off
It's
on.
okay. Just everything seems to be focused on the negative when you listen to the media. Everything to rip us apart, and not enough of, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna give you an example. I can walk out. My neighbor is not the same color as I am, but we can
Mhm.
smile at each other. We can wave at each other. We'll sit out in the middle of the street and talk. We come together. I pulled up in the parking lot
You
the
and
other
Dave,
day, and lady gets out of her car. She's not the same color as I am, but we exchanged those courtesies, and it was genuine.
Mhm.
We don't get to see that on TV anymore. It's
No,
always a negative, and we need to focus on the positive. That's another reason why I started this show, is we need positivity.
absolutely.
I'm not
I agree
saying there's
100%.
yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I mean, I'm not saying there isn't a problem out there. Of course there is. But there's also people that want to get along, you know?
well, yeah, and if anything that COVID has, the shared experiences, we've all been knocked off our equilibrium.
Hmm.
We're all kind of like, whoa, and feeling, a little vulnerable and all that kind of stuff. But I think because it's been so normalized that people are beginning to consider it on level, or from a different perspective than they did before. And
I want to see people's faces. I want to see that expression that they have on their face. I want to be able to walk up to somebody and shake their hand and not, be worried. Oh, I got to stay 6 feet apart from them. Okay, I understand all that, why all that stuff happened, but I think it's time that we get to know each other again.
yeah, um, I mean, I recognize the importance of slow integration as far as touch is concerned, but connection, and that's why I feel like what we're doing right now is so important, because we're all starved for connection like never
Hmm.
before, and it's like, man, we're all getting, I was vaccinated back in, I got my first one in December. I lucked out, because of Seton, but I am, I think it's critical that we kind of follow procedure as much as we can, just while everybody else is getting vaccinated. But bottom line, until everything completely opens up, we've got this. We've
Hmm.
got this kind of richness
Yeah,
to,
exactly.
and I mean, I was trying to describe you.
That's got
That
to be difficult.
Yeah, I was like, I've really met this dude, and I go, and I go, we stand on opposite ends of the spectrum as far as, I think politically, I'm like, that's just a place we don't go, and you don't have to, kind of dance around and
but
whatever.
we still get along.
No,
True.
we recognize each other's
True.
humanity. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, and we don't like,
Instead of drawing that proverbial line in the sand saying, I'm on this side, you're on that side, we can't talk. I think that's malarkey. You have to have opposing opinions, and you need that compromise, so the world becomes a better place. You can't just have it
Absolutely.
one way or the other. It's
No.
ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely not. That's the foundation for racism and segregation, is
Mm-hmm.
wanting everything to be the same way. Right. That's where
Right.
that all starts. And it's a very dangerous way of thinking. So,
Yeah,
and
so
now with politics being the way it is, it's doing the same thing. Right now, it's just like you're talking about, everything on the media is drawing a dividing line. And I want to try and help erase that line as much as possible and try and get people back together. I promoted, I don't know if she talked to you about my story, but I was involved in serious racism for 15 years of my life. I promoted vigorous racism throughout the Western United States.
wow.
And I've spent 10 years in prison. You know what I mean? So I know what hate is, and I know what segregation brings, and it is not the answer,
Nope.
like, so now I do everything I can every day to promote love and acceptance and really self-love. I think that if you can convince people that they're worth more, that they'll strive for more, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really scary to see the way things are going, because I've seen it before, and it just leads to hate. Only begets more hate, and violence is only going to bring forth more violence until something changes, right? So however that looks, like talking with Carlana, wherever I can be of use and whatever is, I want to be there, right? Like I've done a lot of damage in my life, so any good that I can do, I'm more than of service. So
Well, I had a father that he tried to get me on that path of hate, to you know to hate my neighbor because they're from a different country or they have a different skin color, whatever. And I just couldn't do it. There was
yeah,
too many people that I met, especially at school, that I had things in common with or I was just interested in. So to I don't understand why would you want to separate yourself from people that can bring something to your life that you didn't have before?
I did it for survival. I was actually a Crip before I was involved in hate gangs. I hit the streets at 10 and originally started selling drugs for Crip gangs in South and West Tucson.
Oh
And
wow.
when
That's not for common knowledge, right? That's not for.
oh no, I mean I'm willing to talk about it. That's
Okay.
not.
No,
I don't claim to be a Crip, right? Like that's not something that
right,
I'm
right.
not.
That's not your platform.
Yeah, that's not my platform, but it's what I originally did when I was a kid. From 11 to about 14, I was involved with Crip gangs throughout southern and western Tucson, and I sold drugs. I was involved in different gang activities, but so I mainly hung out with kids of Hispanic descent or African descent when I was young. And then when I went to juvie, I learned very, very fast that it is racially segregated. It is not gang segregated. And in juvie, I was treated like shit. And on the streets, I had to put in a lot more effort to be accepted because I was white. I was the minority in that crowd, right?
Mhm.
So then when I got around the racial crowd, right, I get into a hate gang. They see my anger. They see that I can be exploited and manipulated, right? Well, now I've been rejected by my family. I've been rejected by gangs. I've gone through the things that I've gone through. And now there's an organization not only telling me that I'm fucking special, but telling me that I'm better than everybody else, right? And I latched the fuck on, and I dedicated 15 years of my life to it, 10 years in prison. And I've been through a lot because of it. You don't realize what you're signing up for when you sign up at a young age, because it's like a lot of things. They only tell you the glitz and glamour,
Mhm.
but it's a totally different world.
I'm just afraid that's the way society is going to become.
Same here. And that's what I was saying. When I see the way things going, it terrifies me, because it is incredibly racist, and it is not getting, the tension is not going away, is what I'm saying. Like it seems to be boiling up, and that terrifies me, because I've worked very, very hard to get away from it. It's
Yeah.
cost me a lot, and it's the best thing that I've ever done, and I would never go back. Uh, but I want to relay the message, even if it only changes a couple of people. Like, at least you start small. The influence,
Yeah.
a tidal wave starts with a pebble, I guess, is the old thing. A pebble can start a tidal wave.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So that got you into the mental health field?
Yeah, so I got everything changed for me in 2016. Is when I finally stepped away from the hate gangs and everything. I got jumped, and they broke the whole right side of my face, and I decided that I was done. I was just I was done. So I left the yard. I started pursuing an education, and knew that I liked helping people. Like, as a kid, before I went through like the abuse and everything, I was very, very compassionate. I really, really care about the well-being of other people and the happiness of other people. Like, I want people to have a good day, right? Um, because of the abuse, because of the abandonment, the things that I was forced to go through at a very young age, I became very distant and violent, right? But it was out to survive. Like, I'm only 5'7" and 160 something pounds. As a kid, I was tiny, itty bitty. So I had to be incredibly violent, and just, I was nasty, but it was because I was fucking terrified. And I think that is why things are so bad, is because the media and everything right now is fear driven, and
Yes.
fear breeds segregation. And it's a wicked tool. And it's, I don't watch the news. I don't watch any of it anymore, because I love too many people that think differently, and I've watched it divide people in my family. I've watched it divide friends that were close friends, and I'm like, man, you guys are better than this. So
Oh, for
I,
sure.
yeah, I don't know, I got off on a little tangent there, so I apologize.
Oh,
No,
no, no, no.
awesome.
All right.
Well, I
Thank you.
mean, there's there's kids out there right now that are involved with the same things you were involved with, and they're thinking there's no way out, but
Man,
yet you were able to find a way out.
you gotta just believe in yourself.
That's
Just
exactly what I was saying to
step
him.
away.
He's
Step away. It's
yeah.
all
And so
they brainwash you, man.
I
It's
gotta I gotta bring you up to speed, Kyle, on the latest. The last time we connected, it was with about the Sonic Warrior. I was beginning to do some stuff with the Sonic
Yes.
Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
And well, that's like going into high gear. And we're merging it with traumatic event recovery. And there's a hospital alliance for victim intervention,
Mm-hmm.
which is a program that they're developing in level one trauma centers, starting with I believe, children's hospitals. LSU, which is, Louisiana State University,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and they're piloting the project in Shreveport. And a friend of mine is spearheading that.
Nice.
And Shreveport, my nephew, who he's a soccer coach for like Southfield and all this different stuff. He's a soccer coach, all these teenage kids and varsity, whatever. But he also, takes these younger kids, first and second, third grade, and takes them out on these like little adventure trips, to learn about, I don't know, plants and stuff, right? One of these kids was killed 2 weeks ago in a drive-by shooting in my hometown, Shreveport. I mean, it's like, what? They've and so I've learned a lot. It's been a while since I've been gone, but I've learned a lot about So there are a lot of intersections here where violence intervention is coming into play, and not just coming into play, but really where we can plug in, and that's what Coleman and I have been really hyper focused on, is this hospital. It's Hobby, the Hobby. I'll send you some stuff on it, but it's a really cool thing because what they're seeing are kids coming in and out of their ER with elevated events of violence. Okay, so they'll come in, all banged up and stuff, and treated and released. Then they're gonna come in through again, and this time they got a stab wound, treated and released. Come back again, and they're seeing these kids grow up in their ER with these elevated, events of violence. Some of them are shot and paralyzed. I mean, it's like, so they're developing this program there. It it's a pilot program for all of Louisiana State University, but Harvey is nationwide, and so it's traumatic event recovery, or really violence intervention program. And so when you look at trying to get ahead of the problem, or at least begin to engage and provide some resources so we might minimize the risk of them returning,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to equip them with tools and what have you. They're doing they've got programs where they're getting social workers and what have you, like Coleman, and integrating that with their mechanics, like the RN, in the OR or ER, whatever, the MDs and the RNs who are dealing with a lot of this stuff. So anyway, there's just a violence intervention thing, like theme here. And so everything that we're talking about, which, is shifting the narrative. You know what I mean?
That's what we need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am dead set against any form of censorship.
Okay,
Okay.
absolutely.
And
I feel
so,
the same way.
and I'm not going to say you shouldn't make certain content. That's up to you. You should be also responsible for what you watch, what you
Yeah,
listen to. I
sure.
just, I would ask that if you're going to do certain things, to watch the context of how you relay it, because when you see the music videos and the movies and you listen to the music, it glorifies all this violence and drugs and gangs and all that kind of stuff. And just a handful of these guys that were actually gang members will come out and tell you that it's not the life. But
No.
you got those wannabes that just glorify it.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. I'm pretty good at speaking. Like, I really enjoy working in my demographic. I really enjoy speaking. I work at a inpatient detox and mental health crisis unit. So I work
You
right.
speak the language.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's my life, and
They
that's
trust
how
you. You have immediate, instant trust. And
that's exactly what I tell them right off the rip, is that I am not a doctor, that I've done 10 years in prison. I grew up in the institution. I've been involved in gangs since I was 11 years old. I don't know what going to college is. I mean, like, I don't know what getting a degree and walking across a stage in a cap and gown is. I've never done any of that. My whole life has been incarceration or prison. You know what I mean? Or the streets. It's just the past 2 years that everything's changed. And I want to relay to people that it's possible, because I believed forever that it was not. And it truly is changing that perspective and changing that belief in yourself. Like,
yeah,
I didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe that I was worth saving. Right. And if my family were to have tossed me aside, everybody kind of pushed me aside, then obviously nobody else felt the same. But it took one person really reaching out and being like, you're worth it, and saying it a few times to where I was like, maybe there is something worth saving, and then I saw the evidence of, when a lot of addicts will be like, yeah, oh, so-and-so is way worse. They're always comparing themselves to somebody who's better. Right. But how many times have you seen somebody who's better or who's worse than you get better? Right. Then they don't talk about them anymore. You don't hear shit about it. They don't want to, right. So I want to be that person. I have all the pictures. I mean, I have videos of me shooting dope. I have pictures of me super strung out. And I have pictures of me with duffel bags full of money. I've done a lot. And I want to tell people that it doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter what you do. You will be miserable if this is the life. It's not what these fucking rap videos show you. I promise. and talking about not being censored, that's when I was telling Carlana, like, that is one of my big things, because the streets are raw. They are not censored, and real life is not censored. And the problems that people are dealing with are not censored, right? And the taboo of the material that we talk about a lot, you know, the stuff that isn't seen, trauma is taboo. You know, I mean, when someone goes through trauma, or if someone, you know, goes through surgery, goes through, you know, is now paralyzed, they get those labels that people put on them, and we start kind of living up to those labels. And
Yeah.
why are we living up to somebody else's perspective of who we should be, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know what I'm capable of, and I know what I have to give for the world. You know what you're capable of, and you know what you have to give the world. And I want to help everybody believe that they do have something to offer, because we do. Every
Right.
single one of us.
But we also have to understand that there's not necessarily intention behind those labels or the stigmas or stereotypes. I mean, I
They're just
per-
ingrained.
I personally
Mm-hmm.
have been a victim of my own personal biases. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've had to go, whoa, and reverse engineer and go back to that moment of onset and go, whoa, this is how I saw somebody in a wheelchair, you know, at 16.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was like they're old and, you know, decrepit or whatever, and or they're apart from and less than. And that whole thing that happens when I think, you know, any of us feels that we're apart from or less than, it's a disconnect that has biologic and cognitive, you know, impact.
Mm-hmm.
It is the
And
reason that street gangs thrive, because there is disconnect and there's abandonment in so many homes because of the addiction crisis and everything going on, that these kids are left with feeling of zero importance. And who's there to pick it up? Street gangs,
Mm-hmm.
because they will make you feel important as long as you bring in the revenue, you know. And it is incredibly detrimental. We need to get programs out there that are going to counteract that make these people uh, feel involved, feel important, and feel like they're a part of something, and something that actually gives back to them,
yeah,
right? Like,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
sorry.
oh no, I was going to say that that's you know, a reflection of what's happened with the breakdown of the what do you call it, the nuclear family. That's what I was
Mhm.
trying to say. You
right.
know, the absence of the father in the home, you don't have that male figure to look up to
Mhm.
or to help discipline. And when you if you just got the mama who's trying to raise the kids, but she's also trying to work and you
Mhm.
know be take care of the household and you know paying the bills, doing everything. I mean, I didn't struggle like a lot of people do, but I was a single father and I
Mhm.
brought my boys up through junior high and high school by myself. And to be mama and daddy, it's not easy. And I was very fortunate that my kids got involved with activities at school, which kept them focused. Otherwise, I may have lost them.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah, honestly, that's I commend you on that, because I was raised by a single mom. My dad was abusive and was out of
Mm.
the picture at a young age, and my mom tried to raise the two of us on a teacher's salary, which was a joke, you know. And I know she was at work all the time, and unfortunately, I did not pick up extracurricular activities. I started pursuing the wrong stuff very, very young, but I was crying out for help, you know, and I just got let down, sadly to say. But
Yeah.
I would do it all again to get the perspective that I have now, because I appreciate things that people take for granted every day.
Mhm.
So
Well, men need to be men. They need to be fathers. If you're going to go have that baby, then you need to learn how to take care of that baby.
absolutely,
You do
absolutely.
be
Hey,
responsible
guys, um,
and
I actually need, speaking of men, I need to go feed my man. May I allow the two of you to just keep exploring with one another? And I'm going
sure.
to bow out. Um, but I want to you're feeling it. Yeah, I just think this is really cool. And I think these are the kinds of conversations that we model our vulnerability for others so that they can feel safe and know that they're not alone. And I just commend y'all. I really encourage the this connection when I sign off. And I promise I'm not, peeping in or whatever. But it's really rich to see men having these exchanges.
As long as you don't forget my Whataburger. Well, it's good when I see somebody that has the same kind of values.
Yeah.
I could have easily got caught up in that whole gang thing. My neighborhood, back in the early '70s, it was your typical white neighborhood, and then as the '80s approached, then all of a sudden more Hispanics moved in, and then more blacks moved in, and it kind of became the poorer side of town. I mean, we didn't live in an extravagant house by
Yeah.
any means. I mean, most of the houses around me were very modest, but it was also a lot of older people that were dying off, and then the kids who didn't want to move back, and they were renting the homes out to whoever would take them. And of course, a lot of them were gang members and things like. Not all of them, not all of them. There was a lot of really good families around there, and people that we became, or myself became good friends
Yeah.
with. But there was the gangs moved in, and I got bullied, and I can't tell you how many times I tried to kill myself because of the bullying, and I just didn't feel like I was worth it.
Yeah.
And
It's incredible what that separation and that state of mind could do.
mhm.
Right. Like I tell people when I talk to people who are racist now, because I deal with them where I work all the time, right? Like you're nobody outside of your surroundings.
Mhm.
If I were to take you to the middle of Kenya and drop you off, you'd lose your tone real fucking quick, because you ain't nobody without everybody around you, right? Like
Exactly.
we're all here trying to survive, and the sooner we all realize that and realize that we all need each other, the better life's going to be, and I don't know. I commend you on doing everything that you've done. She told me that you've worked on that show Ghost Hunters. I don't know. Did you,
Oh,
what
well,
was
I
your
I
previous?
work with I work with one of the guys from Ghost Hunters. I
Okay.
haven't been on the show. I help him to set up events here in Texas.
Okay.
You
Cool.
can look him up. His name is Mustafa Gadalori.
Okay.
I interviewed him a while back, and something clicked between us, and we just became good friends. And he
Cool.
called me out of the blue and says, "Hey man, we're looking to do some events. Do you know some places?" And in Mineral Wells, I go back, but I interviewed this guy. His name's Ken Potter. Ken had a paranormal team, and he worked very closely with the people that ran the old Nazareth Hospital in Mineral Wells, and it's supposed to be a paranormal hotspot. And so I called him. He got me in contact with them, and then we set up some events. We got another one next month we're going to in Bonham, Texas, and then the next month we're going to be in Ballinger, Texas. But and
Super cool.
Ken was investigating the hospital a few weeks ago. Had a heart attack in the middle of the investigation and died. It
Seriously.
just my wife was looking at Facebook, and she goes, "Ken just died," and I'm like, Ken Potter?" She said, "Yeah. I mean, we just seen him a few weeks before,
Man,
and there he
I'm
is
sorry to
gone.
hear that.
It sucks, man." But
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
Mustafa was gracious enough that he actually flew here from New Jersey to talk at the funeral.
Oh, nice.
That was pretty sweet, and I feel bad because I couldn't make it to the funeral because we were in the middle of moving from our
Yeah.
old place in Cedar Park here to Kyle, and that's got to be confusing for people. What's your name? Kyle. Where are you from? Kyle. How'd you get here? Kyle Parkway.
Cal Parkway. Is that your road?
That's we live right off of Kyle Parkway.
That's cool. You're home.
Hey, they love me so much they named town after me. What can I say?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm trying to start it under the name Convicted Conversations. Whoops, with the name, both of them started with a K because on Instagram somebody already had it with a C.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really trying to reach the same demographic that we're talking about and spread the same message. You know, that it's about changing the perspective. We got to talk about the things people don't want to talk about because it's been given like a taboo or stereotype to be wrong. You know,
Exactly.
I don't I don't know how to do it. I know that I have what it takes. I'm very good at talking with people. I really enjoy talking with people, and I really do care. You know what I mean? I really enjoy finding out what has gotten people to be who they are. Like you were saying earlier, you know, like what it's cool that you're a musician. It's cool that you have all of this fame and all of that, but what got you to be who you are? Like what made you even pursue the route of music? What got you there? Like that is what drives me. When I lead these groups at work, I try and tell people, who were you before your addiction? Like who were you before the addiction or before the trauma happened? What were your dreams and your aspirations? You know, everybody had wanted to be something before life kicked him in the face, you know, and I try and get people back in touch with that. So Carlana's wants to help me with that in some way. She has a lot of plans, and I'm completely on board with it, with whatever she wants to do.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be of service, I guess.
Just simply because I want this to be a safe space for everybody.
Okay.
I mean, I'll tell you my story real quick.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, my dad was a very stout Democrat, and that's what he raised me to be. So I was a Democrat for years, and then I got saved and started going to church. I started preaching, and then I became a Republican. And watching politics over the last several years and watching the Republican Party just sit back and just let everything happen. They don't take action. And I started to think, this is not me. I'm conservative, very conservative in a lot of ways, but there's also a lot of ways I'm very liberal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of a libertarian. I believe, people should have their rights, and I don't think the government should tell me how to live my life. So that's why I kind of lean more towards libertarian. Um, once again, I'm conservative in a lot of ways because I don't preach anymore, but I very much believe in God. Um, I try to be the head of the household like I'm supposed to be. I raise my kids to the best of my ability. Both of my boys are gay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'd be lying if I said I wish that they weren't straight. Because I mean, I would love for them to be married to a woman and have my grandchildren and all that kind of stuff. But that's their life.
Yeah.
They must live their lives the way they feel they need to live their lives, and I'm not the one to dictate that to them. And I love them no matter what.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
so yeah,
That's awesome. I want to commend you on being able to recognize that because a lot of people don't. There's my family on my mother's side, and who Carlana talks about. My grandfather owns a Bible company called Serendipity Bible Company. His name's Lyman Coleman. He's very, very big in the church. So he has had very hard time accepting me for my life and the choices that I've made. Right.
Yeah.
So I know that when it comes to the church, that's a very hot topic issue. So I just want to commend you, man, for truly realizing that family is more important than that.
Oh,
I mean,
definitely.
absolutely.
God, yes, he wants you to judge things according to the way you feel you need to live your life. But I'm not supposed to judge other people. That's between them and God, you know?
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
I accept the fact that my children are gay, and I love their husbands or boyfriends just like they were my own children.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't understand why people push their children away, you know.
I don't know. I don't
um
know.
you know, I just asked my kids, if you're going to live that lifestyle and you pick a partner, you need to be faithful to that partner. Don't be sleeping around and, doing all that crazy stuff. I used to sleep around,
Yeah.
you know. I'm not gonna lie, I was a whore dog. I was an alcoholic. I was a drug addict. I didn't get into gangs and stuff like you did, but I mean, you
It
had
doesn't mean you don't know misery, man. Doesn't mean you don't know misery. And
yeah.
I'm sorry that you've experienced it, but I guarantee it's made you a better person. Being able to, like that, when you've experienced darkness, it makes the faintest light blinding. Is the only way I can express it, And when I talked about being able to take things, truly appreciating things that people take for granted every day, I really appreciate this perspective that I have now, and I won't ever let it go. And again, it is something that I want to share with people, and I think that getting a podcast going is probably the best way to reach people. I'm going to school for public communication and counseling, and I know what I want to do, and just building these connections over this past couple weeks has been amazing. It's like doors are finally opening in a world that I want to be in.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'll be straight up honest with you. Um, the things that we do are not the most popular in the world. People want to see, that those crazy videos of people eating Tide Pods and, you know, eating a spoonful of cinnamon, or,
yeah,
all these crazy things that they do. And, my paranormal videos are more popular, but I do more of these type videos. I believe that even if there's only one person out there that watches them and it inspires them to become a better person and to pursue their dreams, then this makes it all worth it.
absolutely, absolutely. I have a large connection with recovery groups and with people that are involved in that type of lifestyle. So um, I have lots of areas that I can promote this. Is it a station or what is it? It's
It's a network.
a network. Okay.
And when I say network, it's just that we have people with different topics. We all put it on the same channel, so people have a variety of things to look to. And my hope is that, okay, if there's people that are interested in the paranormal side of what we do and they watch those videos, but they'll see that there's other things on here. And like, I'm doing an interview with you, and one of those people may look at this and say, you know what, I used to live that way. If this person can turn their life around, maybe I can.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's and I'm telling you that that voice inside your head is so detrimental when it's telling you that you can't. Right? I hear people all the time, "Oh, I can't do that." Well, you say that, you're right, because now you're not even going to try. You
Mm-hmm.
have to believe in yourself, and you have to believe that you can do it, and actually go out and try, and then not accept anything but success. And everyone thinks that as soon as it doesn't work the first time, oh, I failed. No, you didn't fail until you stopped trying. You learned
Exactly.
something that didn't work, right? You
Mm-hmm.
learned a lesson. Now get up and don't do the same thing again. Try something else, until you get where you want to be. And this is the first time in my life that I've ever not given up. I've always ran back to the streets, because even though I hate it and I was miserable, I knew it and I was
That's
comfortable in the
right.
chaos. Right. And that voice in my head would say, man, what are you doing? You don't belong here. You're not good enough for these people. Everyone can tell you're a piece of shit. Like, everyone knows what you've done, and it just kept me in that cycle of self-sabotage and self-loathing. So it's really important in changing that perspective, man. And I think it's super cool that that's what you guys are trying to do.
Yeah, I will tell you. I was molested when I was a kid, and I tried to block that part of my life away. I got into the drinking. I guess I was about 12 when I started drinking, and then hanging around that crowd, they were smoking weed. So I thought, just it's just weed. I figured that would be, I'd do that, and that was going to be where I would stop. I wasn't going to do anything else. But then I got introduced to crack, and then I would, of course, snort cocaine. I got into acid and methamphetamines, any kind of pills I could get my hands on. It would be a lot quicker for me to tell you things I didn't try than the things that I did.
Okay.
I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that
No, I
because
get it.
people don't understand. Yeah, you start out smoking weed, you think it's no big deal. You're not going to do anything else. And I know there's people that can just smoke it and that's all they do. But you hang around that certain crowd, you want to be part of it because I wanted to fit in because I didn't fit in anywhere, and those were the only people that seemed to accept me. Next thing you know, I'm an addict, and at age 36, I'm 50 now. At age 36, I had a heart attack that woke me up. I
Okay.
realized I needed to leave that stuff alone.
Yeah.
And then when my wife left me and I ended up getting my boys, I had to be a father. And there was a time I wasn't being a father. I was just, the drinking is what really got me. Drinking and cocaine seemed to be my downfall.
Hmm.
And I quit cold turkey. And before I knew it, I was doing real good. But then I have chronic pain. My back, the spine is deteriorating. I have arthritis all throughout my body. Uh, Problems with my shoulders, my knees, and got on those pain pills, man. The
Yeah.
opioids started taking over, and I finally sat down and I talked to my doctor. I said, "Look, man, I'm in pain, but I'm an addict. I have to get off these oxycodones
Yeah.
because that that's what I live for. I could not wait to go to bed and wake up the next morning and take some more."
Yep.
And
Hmm.
I went through the withdrawals, and boy, they were rough. Man, they were rough. But I went through them, and I said, not, no more. I'm not going to do it no more. So if anybody's watching this or listening to this that has that kind of problem, you can get off of it.
Absolutely. 9-year heroin addict. I've been clean 17 months on the second. Was 17 months for me, and
Congratulations.
thank you, man. Same to you. Same to you. But truly, I was molested as a kid too. And I've blocked out most of my childhood before 10 years old. Right. And it is so detrimental because when I started using, it was the escape that I pursued.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I was that ability to not feel is what I pursued. And when I found opiates, it was like that. I mean, that song Comfortably Numb, man, I had never not felt so much in my entire life that I didn't want to come back. I was suicidal from about the age of, I can remember 10 years old, and I was already suicidal at that point, and life's been hard. So yeah, to anybody who's listening, the change is possible. You got two living examples right here. So I commend you on that, man. And thank you for sharing that with me.
So,
So,
I mean, I've had that pistol to my head. I've
mhm.
overdosed. I've tried hanging myself, all these different things, thinking I just wanted it to end. But
Yeah.
you have to focus on other things. Number one, you have to do it for yourself. Don't do it for anybody else. Do it for yourself.
Hmm.
You have to learn to love yourself. And that seems to be one of the hardest things to do is to love yourself. I put myself down all the time. Still to this day, I try not to. And my wife points it out to me, but I just can't seem to love myself like I should. But at the same time, I have grandchildren, I have my children, and I have to think, do I want to put them through that misery? Because my father committed suicide, my little brother committed suicide, a couple of my best friends, they committed suicide. And my brother was the hardest. That was 20 years ago, and I still find myself crying over him sometimes. It's hard to let go. And I don't want to put anybody through that misery. It it just kills you. And I I could go on with this topic. I don't want to start crying, but it always
No, I'm over here like, but I'm sorry that you've experienced that amount of loss that close to you, you know, and that it's all been taken like that. A lot, man, it's I've lost a lot of people from overdoses and drugs. I've been involved in selling drugs since I was 11, so it's been my entire life has been gangs and drugs and that perspective. So as when it comes to losing people and talking to people about loss, I just try and talk about a mural, right? When it comes to art, from the moment you're born to the moment you die, you've painted a mural with your life, right? And we have a tendency to focus on when somebody's story ends, and we got to step back and truly just appreciate the fact that we even got the opportunity to see this person's painting, right? Because there's billions of people on the planet that did not get to know this person and didn't get to get any beautiful memories with that person. And I have people that have, robbed me, have had a lot of bad things happen that with people that were very good friends of mine before drugs and addiction got involved. And when they died, I don't think about the bad, right? I remember them for the people that I loved and for the good times that we had. So just talking about perspective, right? And that's been something that's truly helped me, is trying to just focus on the good, focus on the good times we had and remember the beauty instead of the tragedy, right?
I can't verify this because I haven't researched it myself, but I heard that he's a rapper. I don't listen to rap music, but I do know this person is DMX.
Yes.
I heard he's brain dead because he overdosed.
I read it on a couple of different websites that yes, he overdosed and that they were pronouncing him brain dead with very little activity at all. I haven't read anything today, but that was about 11 p.m. last night.
Wow.
So actually closely, he's tied in with part of the narcotic circle of my past. So it's interesting. I'm actually surprised he made it this long, to be honest with you. That man's addiction is ferocious and has been so for a very, very long time. So it's tragic. It's another one that's been eaten by the true pandemic. I mean, I think this addiction is ravaging our nation in so many, and it's not even just our nation, it's the entire globe. We like to act so different, but the Soviet, Russia, China, all of these major countries are being ravaged by addiction. It's one thing that ties us all together. Addiction doesn't give a shit about your race, your class, your religious preference, anything. It takes everybody willingly. And how do you convince somebody to not poison themselves, right?
Yeah. Well, and you don't have to be that gang member or anything like that. You
No.
could be just your typical housewife. All it takes
Mm-hmm.
is, you hurt yourself, you go to the doctor, they give you some pain pills. Next thing you know, you're hooked on them.
Pharma is highly responsible for a huge portion of this opiate crisis. Most of the people I know in prison and through meetings and things that got on opiates were athletes or somebody who got injured in some way, car accident or something, skateboarding, and were put on Oxycontin back when Oxycontin was the thing. And now they never got off, and most of them are are dead or in prison, and the few that have made it, it's you know, a lot of the damage is lifelong as far as the mental wounds that are there. So it's hard for people to recover. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I just I want to help people do that in whatever way possible. You know, it's sad
I'd
to see
like
how
to
big the scale is.
I'd like to address the audience again. If you happen to be one of those people that are hooked on these opioids and things, you just go to your doctor.
Yeah.
Confide in your doctor. Let them know, yes, I'm addicted to these things. They can get you off of those slowly so you don't have to go through those painful withdrawals. It feels like you have the flu to the worst degree.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
it's no wonder people keep taking those pills and keep taking those pills because they don't want to feel that misery. I understand that. But your doctor can get you off of them slowly. You just have to be willing to do it. Put in the work.
Absolutely. It'll be the hardest thing you've ever done, but the most beneficial thing you've ever done in your entire life. It'll save you, you know, give you your life back.
There's so much in this life to experience. If I had gave up, when I wanted to give up and just ended it all, I wouldn't have the family that I have right now. I wouldn't be enjoying my grandchildren like I am. I wouldn't have made the friends that I've made.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say this, and it's not for my ego or for people to think that I'm trying to brag, but I have met some pretty famous people, and I've actually gotten to be true friends with them. I mean, we've exchanged phone numbers, we text all the time, we call each other, check on each other, we know about each other's families. When the spouses are sick or the children are sick, somebody's in the hospital, all that kind of friends. And the friendships that I have are so beautiful to have somebody that says, you know what, yeah, I'm on television, but I'm a regular person too. I want to have somebody that I can talk to about what I'm going through, and are willing to listen to me when I have my little gripes and worries and things. I'm not saying that everybody out there is going to make those kind of friends, but there's still people out there to make friends with that are beautiful people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Uh, well said. I've never had people like this in my life, and it has been really this last year. All since COVID hit, my life has changed exponentially, and I am incredibly grateful for everything that's happened, the relationships that I've made. November 26th, 2015, I tried killing myself in county because I was looking at 15 to 21 years. I had already done a substantial amount of time in juvenile corrections and in adult prison, and was just not willing to do it, you know? So I'm grateful that I made it. I will never do it again, you know? And I again, like, if anyone needs to talk, I am always willing to talk. I'm on numerous addiction pages on Facebook. My name's Coleman Ryan. Friend me. You know, that's what I do for a living, is talk to people that are in crisis, and I enjoy it. I enjoy getting to know people, and I enjoy getting to hear people's story. So,
I mean, here we've met each other, and I think we've clicked. And
absolutely.
here's somebody else that I would have missed out on if one of us had taken our lives.
Seriously.
We wouldn't be here talking right now. And you've got a great soul.
Thank you. You too, man. You too.
I can see, you've been through a lot. You've been through a lot of pain, but you're not letting that take your life over.
It destroyed me for 31 years. I was the person that you cross the street. Like, no one wanted me in their home. I didn't have friends. I may have made a lot of money, but I was alone, you know, and the addiction took hold because I had created this person that I didn't recognize when I looked in the mirror, you know, and I I self-sabotaged. I didn't feel that I was worth anything, right? Like when you and I start talking and start working on these podcasts, man, we'll have a lot of conversations, because there's, some convicted conversations. It's the name of the podcast. So there's a lot that I have to talk about. There's a lot that I have to share. And it's the same with you, man. I mean, you've obviously been through your fair share, and it doesn't just have to be incarceration and hardship to no misery, right? Like misery comes in many, many forms. Trauma comes in many, many forms. And we all need to realize that we have a lot more in common than we do apart. And I think that as soon as we start realizing that and lose the taboo of talking about trauma, like here's two men that were both covered in tattoos on the streets. I'm sure people look at us a little different sometimes, but we're here talking about the trauma of our childhood on, television and radio, talking on the air. And that's taboo, right? Normally you wouldn't talk about that, but why? Because it's helped both of us. If other people are willing to have that conversation and willing to go there, and it is incredibly popular, everybody. Like the trauma that is going on in households is very is sad. So the more we start talking about it, the more we start healing as a community. I think the more we start growing as a community.
Well, I know there's people that are reluctant. They don't want to put their lives out there for the public to see. But I've left my life an open book, just for the simple fact that even if there's just one person out there that can relate, that's just listening to one person listens to the show. If it helps you, you know that somebody has gone through the same thing or something similar. You may have had it worse than both of us put together. I don't know how your life is, but there's people out there can relate in some way. We're here. We care. We genuinely care. I wouldn't be spending my afternoon sitting here talking on this Zoom meeting right now if I didn't care.
Sure.
We want to help. If I can't help you, there's people that can. All you got to do is Google search. You will find phone numbers, websites for if you're wanting to you're wanting to commit suicide or you have an addiction. There's people that you can contact and talk to. And if you just want to message me on here or on social media, or you want to message Coleman,
feel free.
Feel free, please.
Please do. Yeah, it's the least I can do. Is let you know that you're not alone. Like I know what it is to feel alone, and you're not. So reach out.
I don't want the same thing to happen to anyone else that my brother did, or what my dad did, or my buddies did. I don't want you to kill yourself. There's a reason to live, and God, I know things get tough. I have been through that poverty where we were getting kicked out of our house, the lights were getting shut off, water was getting shut off, everything was getting turned off because I didn't have the money. And that's that time you just want to give up. You got to keep trying. Just keep trying.
It will get better, and like I said earlier, if you have something that you want, don't give up. It's not, you didn't fail because you didn't achieve it on the first time. You learned something that didn't work. And life's all about progress. Always about progress.
Here's something else. If you're out there, you're looking for a reason just to go on, start you a podcast. Talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. And even if you don't get listeners and, an audience, like you see people get hundreds of thousands or millions of people following them, even if you don't get that, even if it's just one person, it helps. It's therapy. It's therapy for me. I like being able to just talk about what is bothering me in hopes that it'll help someone.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely, I agree.
So Coleman, do you live there by yourself?
Yes, I do. I live in downtown Phoenix by myself, and just going to school and working. Trying to adjust. Honestly, it's been a different life for a long time, so I have a huge learning curve. Hence the technology gap. Hence, a lot of things. But I'm excited, and instead of being afraid of change and trying to run from it, I embrace it now. And I
Amen.
look forward to learning new things, and I look forward to the growth and seeing where life goes. You know, our next breath isn't guaranteed, right?
Exactly.
And the last breath is already gone. So I just focus on this breath and doing the best I can with it. And that's how I've lived my life for the past 2 years. And things have gone excellent, right? So it's I'm gonna continue to do that and just strive to be the best me that I can be every moment, right?
Awesome. Awesome, man. Well, my heart goes out to the folks that have had to live alone during this pandemic, being locked up by yourself. It's got to be depressing at times. There's people all around. I mean, our neighborhood, I can't tell you how many people, they just freaked out. They either killed themselves or they killed somebody next to them because it was that traumatizing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we had, I think, 3 or 4 shootings in our neighborhood over the pandemic. Uh,
Okay.
a young man down the road, teenager, took his own life because he couldn't handle it.
Yeah, it's tragic, man. And I think I mentioned earlier that I work in a crisis center, right? So where
Mhm.
I work, it's we have people that were in sobriety for years, had years under their belt. We're working a program, we're working jobs, going to school, and this pandemic hit, and it shut down everything. I mean, recovery meetings shut down, and these people just crumbled. I mean, so many. Our facility is ridiculously full, and it doesn't stop. And it's gotten so much worse. Phoenix's homeless population increased by 20% last year.
Wow.
20%. You know, and we don't have a small homeless population. We have a very large homeless population.
Yeah.
It's tragic, you know. But like you said, if we what we can do to help is talk about it and make people aware and make people know that they're not alone. Right?
Mhm.
So
Somebody will talk to you. I promise you. Somebody out there will talk to you.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
and I am so embarrassed because I can't remember this kid's name. He's 21 years old. I just saw him on a news program. 21 years old. He's a black kid. He wanted to make a difference in his community. He and he wasn't going to wait for the government or anybody else. He was going to do this. He was determined that he was going to help out the kids in his community. So he ended up taking in some of these kids that were lost to the system, or they were getting out of juvie. Their families didn't want to have anything to do with them. He took them in. He actually taught them trades, and they went out. They worked. They made the money. They bought their own school. They didn't stop there. They kept making money until they bought a bus, and now they have a school where, because the school system was failing them. This is in Augusta, Georgia.
Okay.
Like I say, I'm embarrassed. I can't remember the kid's name, and it's important to know it because he made a difference. He didn't give up.
No, absolutely not.
You know,
That's
he
that. I'm actually look that up because those are the type of stories I like reading. You know, people that have that drive and they have that vision and they don't stop until they achieve it. You
yeah.
know, so
and it
it's a
and it's not. I'm not saying just a black kid did this. It's not that he was black. It's that he had a determination. You know what I mean?
absolutely, absolutely,
I don't care what color
absolutely.
it is. He had a determination. He wanted to go that extra mile, and he wanted to make a difference. And he had that philosophy. You got to learn to help yourself sometimes.
You do. It's the truth. For you're the only person that's with you 24/7,
Exactly.
right? You're the only person that's going to be there to pick you up when you fall down throughout your entire life. So you gotta learn to love yourself. You gotta learn to enjoy being with yourself,
Hmm.
and know that you're worth more. If you're, I don't know. It's I don't even know. When I work with people at work, I don't even know them, and I tell them that I care about them. and I wouldn't treat them the way that they're treating themselves, you know, and I try and relay just that feeling of self-worth and importance, you know, and everybody has a purpose. We all have something to offer.
Yes. Whether you believe it or not, you have
Whether
something to
you
offer.
believe it or not, you have something to offer. That's absolutely the truth. 100%.
You know, I love my artwork, and I know I'm not as good as some people are, but some people do enjoy my artwork.
Mhm.
That's a purpose that I have. Also, the show. Okay, I'm not the most popular person on YouTube or on any of the podcast platforms. I have a decent following, I guess you'd say, but
Yeah.
that's not that's my purpose,
Yeah.
to get the word out there. And hey, I hope one day that it takes off. I really do, because I want the word to get out there. I want more people to see people like you that have overcome.
It's possible, man.
Exactly.
I have so many success stories around me. It's the other reason I want to get a podcast going. Like this company that I've worked for, I have met the most amazing people working there, right? Not only patients, but the staff, because it's a second chance company. They hire people like me because they know that we've been through it and they know that we can relate, right? So through working there the past 10 months, I've met incredible people, right? That have incredible stories, incredible turnaround stories of triumph and I mean hardship. So it's I can't wait to get it going. I can't wait to bring what I think I can bring to the table, you know. And I appreciate the assistance, man. I appreciate you guys being willing to help me at all. I mean, it's that's what the world needs more of, right? Is less greed and more community growth, I would say.
I appreciate the fact that you're willing to put your life out there, you know,
Absolutely.
to open up and see where you've been. Some people just won't do that. They're very private. They don't want other folks to know. And you know,
Mm-hmm.
there's just a handful of people out there that are willing to do what you're doing. So, can you tell us once again what's your social media so people can follow you, and
Yeah.
where you work at?
I work at Community Bridges Incorporated in Phoenix, Arizona. I am a patient care technician. Basically, you're the most underpaid therapist you'll ever meet, and I love my job. My social media for Facebook is Coleman Ryan, and I believe for Instagram it's either Robert Coleman Ryan or Robert Ryan or Coleman Ryan. I'm not sure, but my
You're
my
like me.
yeah,
I
I
have
can't
to write it
remember.
down.
I just log in. My the platform on Instagram that I am using for the podcast will be called Convicted Conversations, both with a K, and uh, that's the platform that I'm going to be launching on, and it's going to be to discuss real life subjects in real terms. You know, I'm not going to be censored. What's going on in the streets is gritty and it's raw, and I think that people who are willing to listen to that and to face those truths need to hear it in that way, right? And
Exactly.
I'm trying to reach the crowd that are living that life, and they don't read textbooks in college. You know, they talk a language that I'm used to speaking, and I care very very much about these people because there's a lot of amazing people that are just suffering, and I can't wait to get started, man. I really really can't. So we'll talk more in person or in private about setting something up with Carlana
Yes.
and all that. All right.
Yes. Well, we want to, welcome you to the family. If you want to be a part
Thank
of
you.
this network,
Absolutely. I'm in 100%. I just you guys tell me how to do this and what to do, and we will let this thing grow naturally. But I'm definitely in, you know.
well, we
So I
definitely want to
appreciate it.
welcome you, and
Thank you.
anybody that's you know, that you're going through anything rough. Here's somebody that's been there, and I want you to welcome him as well and listen to his show because I believe you're gonna help a lot of people. You really are.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's what I want to do. I destroyed a lot of lives. Um, I've done a lot of bad in the world for the first part of my life. So now I would like nothing more than to spread love, self-love, and acceptance. You know, people need to. I truly think that the answer is people learning to love themselves, because then they won't accept addiction and abuse and harassment and treatment like that. And I don't know, break the cycle, flip the script, change everything up. So I appreciate your time very, very much, man. And
I appreciate you.
yeah.
Really do.
All
And
right. You guys have a great night, and I look forward to talking with you. Honestly, I really appreciate this.
thank you. And to everyone that's out there that's watching us or listening to us, we appreciate you. We need your help to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So please like, subscribe, share, comment, tell your friends about us.
Yep. Reach out. I will respond. I will respond. If it's not right that second, I might be working, but I promise I respond when people reach out. You know, it's the least I can do is take the time to answer you. So please do.
Well, thank you again.
Yep.
And peace.
Peace.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, because it's only through your support that we're able to continue doing the things that we do. And until the next one, have a great, great day.